What's going on, everybody, and welcome to 3 Wide with Tom Ludermoser. So today is Tuesday, the day after Memorial Day, the year 2020, and last night was the Xfinity Charlotte race. It was a very, very, very entertaining race all the way through the race, from first position all the way to last. You had some fantastic racing all throughout the racetrack, which is what every NASCAR fan enjoys. And there was even racing for first place. There was a lot of racing for the lead, a lot of aggressive racing for the lead. And I know that's what most NASCAR fans really, truly care about, is watching the lead change hands. You had Ross Chastain started on pole, led the first handful of laps, kept Kyle Busch behind him. If Kyle Busch got by him, he got by Kyle Busch, which is really, really impressive, seeing as Kyle Busch is the all-time win leader in NASCAR at all, much less the Xfinity series to the degree that he is. So I see Ross Chastain coming up and becoming a NASCAR Cup Series champion one day. You can take that to the bank so long as he gets himself some good equipment, which I think with the talent and what he has proven he can do, especially this year, I can guarantee you he gets one of those good Cup rides. Kyle Busch ended up winning stage one. Not a big surprise. Personally, I wasn't surprised to hear it at all. And then going into stage two, good racing, especially up there up front. Kyle and Ross kept battling for that lead. Unfortunately, you got Kyle Busch kind of being Kyle Busch about getting around Ross Chastain, gave him the bumper a little bit, didn't spin him, just kind of rattled his cage a little bit, probably lifted the rear tires off the ground. Didn't want to wreck him. It was very, very early in the race, and Kyle just didn't want to wreck him. Remember the truck series? He didn't want to wreck him. He didn't want to kind of take that away. Ended up getting him loose. Went right by him on the inside. And guess what? Ross Chastain came back and passed Kyle Busch after getting his cage rattled, which goes to show you how tough and how aggressive and how great of a driver Ross Chastain really is. Those colored racing cars are fantastic this year. You had Austin Haley and Ross Chastain, both of those in those cars, really competing, which was cool. Kyle Busch won stage two eventually, though. He got back around him, won stage two, dominant win, definitely a dominant win. Then, of course, in stage two, the 66 car blows its engine, put a lot of oil out on the racetrack. While he was doing this, there was a pretty big battle for the top 4 or 5 positions. You had Kyle Busch, Ross Chastain, you had Chase Briscoe in the 98 car, and you even had Austin Cindric coming up there in the 22, which was really cool to see all those cars up there competing. Unfortunately, when he did put the oil down on the track, the biggest loser of that was Chase Briscoe. Chase Briscoe hit that oil and just slammed that outside wall. Didn't finish his day, but it ruined it, that's for sure. Any chance he might have had a win in that race. Ross Chastain even got into the wall, though. Not as bad a damage. With these composite bodies, they can get in there and just pound them out. Not quite like a cup car with the sheet metal, but nonetheless, it did hurt his chances. But he did come back a little bit later on. Then you get the caution, obviously. Brings him out. Chase Briscoe goes back in the racetrack, or into the pits, comes back out on the racetrack, trying to run people down. He had a fast race car. Obviously, your aero at that point is kind of kaput. But he ended up in the wall again. That brought the caution out again. Unfortunately. But the cool thing was that kind of for an entertainment standpoint, this was a very, very, very important, very, very, very big race for that entertainment standpoint. Sorry, somebody's blaring their radio way too loud if I can hear it in here. But then you get a big wreck after that as well. That big wreck ended up taking out Austin Hill, 61 in the 51 car. Ross Chastain got the free pass. Remember, I told you, he didn't have a ton of damage on that car. It was pretty scuffed up, but not horrible. Obviously, so restarting again. Austin Cindric out front. out there being super competitive, running this race, really, really sticking it to those guys. I didn't really think that, I mean, probably Kyle Busch probably could have run him down, but it wasn't quite as sure of a thing. Kyle Busch ended up getting another speeding penalty on that last restart. But tail end of the lead lap, came back up. Again, another caution. This time the 21 car got kind of bumped from behind, spun out, slammed into the wall. Pretty big hit for him. Matt Snyder was having a really good race yesterday. I hate it for him. I hate it for his team. But nonetheless, a good showing for the day. Just not quite the accomplishment that I'm sure he wanted. And then you go over 8 laps to go. Riley Herbst blows a tire, smacks a wall, spun out. But this is all happens 1 lap after Justin Allgaier smacks the wall. They wanted to let him keep racing. 9-10 laps to go. They wanted to keep him racing, but Allgaier smacked the wall, came back in, pit, no damage, no crud all over the racetrack. Riley Herbst, though, did hit the wall and did bring out the caution. Bunched him up again, this time with 4 laps to go. You had a huge wreck. In the back, you had Noah Gragson, who was doing a fantastic job trying to keep up with Kyle Busch, trying to keep up with Austin Cindric. Kyle Busch ended up getting around Cindric just before this restart, or just after this restart. Spun the car, almost taking out Cindric. Gragson just kept taking out cars behind him, left and right. It was a terrible shame. A lot of those cars, again, really good cars. But you had Tommy Joe Martin ended up getting the worst end of that. He smacked that inside wall very, 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 very hard. And just an absolute shame to see. So, unfortunately, 4 laps to go. Noah Gragson took out a lot of those guys. That kind of left the top 3 or 4 not exactly who we all expected. Kyle Busch restarted 3rd. And then you had Austin Cindric, obviously, who was leading at the time, restarted 1st. Kyle Busch got around him again on the restart and just kind of took off and left from there. On the last lap is when Kyle got it. But you also saw Daniel Hemrick come back into the picture. Daniel Hemrick had an issue in the pits, ended up having to go in. Ended up finishing 2nd. He got around Austin Cindric on the last corner of the race, dive bombed into turn 3, kind of hoping he could capitalize between Cindric and Kyle Busch if they ended up getting together. But pulled off 2nd, on the last second of that race too. You can see he kind of bobbled. So let's say there was another lap, I don't think he could have caught Kyle. He bobbled coming out of turn 4. Going straight across the front stretch. So that lost them the momentum. Still finished 2nd. Fantastic showing for Daniel Hemrick and that Junior Motorsports number 8 Chevrolet. But Kyle Busch goes on to win number 97. It's unheard of. It is ridiculous. Other than him, the 2 winningest drivers in the Busch series were Mark Martin and Mark Martin and Kevin Harvick. And Martin and Harvick, they're both under 50. So Kyle Busch is 3 away from 100, which was his ultimate goal that he has told the media. It's his ultimate goal to get to that 100 win. And I think he'll do it potentially this year, if not maybe next year. The very beginning of next year. So, great race. My takeaways of this race, though, Ross Chastain can hang with Kyle Busch. Ross Chastain can beat Kyle Busch, hold off Kyle Busch, and he can keep up with him. Remember I told you keep a mind on for Ross Chastain? He ended up finishing 4th. After all that, the damage, he got the wave around and still finished 4th, which is really, really cool. Great to see it for him. Great race team. Great for Kulig Racing. Unfortunately, Haley ended up getting taken out in that last wreck. That number 8 car, though, that was a gorgeous paint scheme. One of the coolest paint... Okay, I'll be on. The coolest paint scheme in the Xfinity series. wasn't so much patriotic, but it was kind of a throwback to the P-47 Thunderbolt World War II airplane with the green, the red, and the yellow on it. So very, very, very cool race car. Another very cool race car was the 22. Instead of the typical money lion green and white, we saw red and gray, which was really cool. A matte gray. It looked fantastic on that race car. I hope they make it die cast. I want that and the 8 car. Another one, Monster Energy sponsored the 18 car. That looks really good on the Supra. I'm not gonna lie, that Monster Energy looks fantastic on the Supra. That matte black finish. Ooh, very, very nice car. But tonight is the NASCAR Truck Series race. So I will watch the entire race. I will follow up with you guys then. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you for checking out the channel. Please like and subscribe. Please share with your friends who like NASCAR. I'd love to get this channel growing. If it grows, I'll get better cameras, better microphones, and this back here, I'll update that as well. So you guys have a great rest of your night, and I will let you know what's going on in the Truck Series race after the Truck Series. Thanks for watching.